Good evening, guys. So, welcome to my class. I am Mr. Ageng'o Joshua, and Ageng'o Joshua is a teacher teaching mathematics and also chemistry. I hope you will enjoy the class. I have prepared for you a question under vectors 1, one of the questions that were done by those who did Kcse in 2021. So, give me your mind, lend me your attention, and please try and understand. So the question says the position vectors. This is a very crucial term. Let me underline it. And maybe before I continue any further, let me define it. So position vectors are vectors. These are vectors that commence, in other words, originates from the origin. And I'm not talking about any other origin, but I'm talking about that origin in the Cartesian plane, 0, 0. So position vectors are vectors that originates from the origin. So the position vectors of A and B are -4, 6 and -8, 2 respectively. Point M is the midpoint. So this M is the midpoint. Very important. If something is a midpoint of a line, then it means that it divides that line in the ratio 1 to 1. And N is also the midpoint. N is the midpoint of OA. So N also divides that line OA in the ratio 1 to 1. O is there because these are position vectors. They are vectors that originates from the origin. So let us try and solve these questions. Find the vectors AB. How do you get vector AB? So I will advise that before you continue any further, please draw a diagram. Because already we know that these are position vectors, draw a diagram that looks like this. A straight line to cater for A and B. And because they are position vectors, they originate from the origin. So include the origin in your diagram. So your diagram should be in a triangular format. So O is the origin, that is 0, 0. And then we have position vectors of A, -4, 6. Write it in vector form, -4, 6. And B, -8, 2. Somebody. So this one will make your work easier. So just find a small space and then draw this triangle. And then at one point, at one sharp corner should be the origin, O. Then B will originate from the origin, that is the position vector of B. -4, 6 originates from the origin, like this. It originates from the origin. This one also originates from the origin. So, if that is the case, they want us to get vector AB. So I'll say, how do we calculate vector AB? Vector is always denoted. If you print it, then it should be bold. But because we are writing, you denote it by an arrow at the top. So AB will be equal to vector coordinates at point B minus vector coordinates at point A. So vector coordinates at point B minus vector coordinates at point A. You start with the second one minus subtract from it the first one. A sharp student will say, or not, let me not use sharp. Let me use another student will say that vector AB is equal to position vector of point B, which is the same as OB, minus position vector of point A. This is just the same thing. So this is how another student will reason. And then this is also how another student will reason. All of you are bright, please. Yeah. Don't open a judgment for me, please. Okay, so let us now calculate. Vector AB will be equal to vector coordinates at point B, which is -8, 2, minus -4, 6. So -8 minus -4 will be equal to -4. 2 minus 6 will be equal to -4. So always use your calculator. Don't assume that you know everything, or less you will make some mistakes that can be avoided. So I have -8 minus negative 4. What do you get? You get negative 4, meaning this is true. Then 2 minus 6, that is also negative 4. So calculator is there for confirmation sometimes if you can assume that you know. So that is the first bit of the question. Then B, find the coordinates of point M and N. Let us start with M. Finding the coordinates of point M is like getting position vector of M, which is OM. How do we calculate this? So moving from O to M, remember in the stem of the question, they are saying that N is the midpoint of AB. So M is here. The midpoint of AB, somebody. M is the midpoint of AB. And so if something is a midpoint of a line, then it means that it divides that line in the ratio 1 to 1. And again, N is the midpoint of OA. If N is the midpoint of OA, then it means that it divides that line in the ratio 1 to 1. I hope we are together. Yes. So let's get O to M. So in vectors, moving from O to M, you can use several directions, just like in real world. If I want to move from town A to town B, there are some routes that we call shortcuts. There are some routes that are normal routes. Then there are some routes that are long cuts. So moving from O to M, somebody will say that, somebody who hates walking will say that O to M is I can just go directly. But somebody who likes what we call form, to a form, will say that I'll move from O to B, then B to M. Another person will say that I can move from O to A, then A to M. Another bright person now will say that I can move from O to N, then N to M, but that is just a wastage of time, please. So O to M, let me move from O to A, so O to A, then plus A to M. Now this is the same as OM is equal to O to A plus, I don't have coordinates at M. So I can express this A to M because M is a point on AB, and they said it earlier that M is the midpoint of AB. So I can express this AM in terms of A and B only. So I can say I want to move from A to M, but A to M, because we have ratios in this line, so A to M is 1. So I'll say 1. A to M is 1 over, because I want to use AB, then the entire ratio, the entire line has 1 plus 1, that is 2. So 1 over 2 of AB, that is A to M, the midpoint of AB, half of AB. So I'll have O to M now be equal to O to A, which is just the same as coordinates at point A, negative 4, 6, the vector coordinates at point A, plus half of AB. How do I get AB? Already I have AB at Roman 1. So negative 4, negative 4. So I'll have now negative 4, 6 plus, what is a half times negative 4? That is negative 2, somebody. Then half times negative 4, that is negative 2, somebody. So your answer will be negative 4 plus negative 2, that is negative 6. Always use a calculator, please. Then 6 plus negative 2, that is 4. Somebody, that is 4. So, but because they want what? The coordinates. So you write this your answer in coordinates form. So I'll have M, answer is equal to M, negative 6, comma 4. That is the first bit. Then, coordinates of point M and N. So let us now do for N. So getting the coordinates of point N is the same as getting the position vector of point N, ON, which is equal to, I want to move from O to N. But because I don't have any coordinates at point N, that is what I'm looking for, I'll say that because N is the midpoint of OA, or in other words, because N lies in this line OA, I can express ON in terms of O and A. So that one will be, I want to move from O to N. So from O to N is 1. Over, I'm expressing it from O to A in terms of O and A. So over OA, which is 1 plus 1, that is 2. That is the entire ratio over half 1 over 2 OA. Please. Mark my words. Okay, so I'll have ON is equal to half of OA. What is OA? Already we have OA. Just the same as coordinates at point A. Vector coordinates. So negative 4, 6. So that one will be half times negative 4, that is negative 2. Half times that is 3. So coordinates of point N, they want coordinates. So your answer is equal to negative 2, 3. Very, very sweet. In other words, if you want to understand mathematics better, you have to change your attitude. Maths is juogi. That is a very, very big English term, juogi. In spirits. Okay, let me just continue without saying many things. The magnitude of NM, Roman 3. Magnitude of NM. Magnitude of vector NM. In maths, we write magnitudes this way, just the way we represent modulus, NM. So how do we get magnitude? Magnitude of a vector is calculated as square root of x squared plus y squared. So meaning we must have x and y. Then we square them. So first, I'll get vector NM. Let me calculate vector NM first before calculating the its magnitude. So NM will be coordinates at M. Remember, we start with the vector coordinates at point M, the second place, minus vector coordinates at point N. Move with me. It's a step-by-step procedure, somebody. Yeah, very, very important. So M, already we have M, negative 6, 4. And then we have N, negative 2, 3. So minus negative 2, 3. This one will be equal to negative 6 minus 2. That is negative 4. Use your calculator. Then 4 minus 3. Simple, but use your calculator. 1. Very, very simple, but just use your calculator, please. So we assume that this one takes, the one in the numerator takes the x position, and the one in the denominator takes the y's position. Because if I write it in the coordinate form, it will be negative 4, 1. And coordinates are always written in the form of x, y. If you ignore z. Z is now in 3D, but you people, you are still doing 2D. So I have magnitude NM to be equal to square root of x squared, that is negative 4 squared, plus y squared, that is 1 squared. So what is your answer? You write, because magnitude is like the length of something, you write your answer in terms of unit, in unit form. But because we don't have centimeters, meters, hectometers, what, we'll write it, your answer, blah, blah, units. So let us do it. This is a scientific calculator. Maybe you don't have it, so use your calculator wisely. Negative 4 squared plus 1 squared. What is your answer? I'll have root 17, which is the same as 4.123 units. So that is the answer. Now let us do the last part of the question. The last part, somebody. What does it say? It says the coordinates of point C is 2a. So we have C, this is the last part, part B. C coordinates is 2, A. Vector CA is parallel. That is very, very important. CA is parallel. Parallel vectors have what we call a constant, a common constant. Then they also have, they have a common constant. That is what is important there. So if this vector CA vector is parallel to vector OB, meaning I can express CA in terms of OB. Mathematically, I can say CA is proportional to OB, such that they will have a constant if I will remove this sign of proportionality. So I'll have CA is equal to a constant, maybe K. In vectors, we use K of OB. So this one is what we want to look at. It's a very tricky question, but if you give it 100% of your mind, or maybe just 90 something there, we will get it, somebody. Okay. So CA is equal to this KOB. Already we have OB. OB is just the same as coordinates at point B. So let's get CA. So CA vector, how do we get it? Vector coordinates at point A minus vector coordinates at point C this one minus this. If it is nm, then m minus n. We start with the one at the second place minus the previous one. So A, we have negative 4, 6, minus C, we have C, 2, to the. So this is it, somebody. This is vector CA. A, negative 4, 6, minus C, 2A. So CA is this one, somebody. Negative 4, 6, that is A, minus 2A, that is C. So I'll now have vector CA, which is negative 4, 6, minus 2A is equal to K of OB. Already we have OB, negative 8, 2. So I'll have negative 4. Remember that if you want to get K, you equate the ones. Like I just put a line there at the midpoint, so that I equate the ones that are in the numerator position. Then I equate them. I equate the ones at the numerator position, please. So negative 4, I'll just take negative 4 minus 2 is equal to K times negative 8 will be negative 8K. So negative 4 minus 2 will be negative 6 is equal to negative 8K. So that one will be, to get K over negative 8 over negative 8. So that one will go with that one. Then I'll have now negative 6 over negative 8. That is 3 over 4. So K is equal to 3 over 4. But remember that this K is common. Somebody, this K is common. Then I equate the ones also at the denominator. I equate the ones at the denominator. So let me equate the ones at the denominator, somebody. These are all go through it. Let us equate it now. Yeah. So 6, the ones at the denominator, 6 minus A is equal to 2K. Remember that K times 2 is 2K. So I'll have 6 minus A is equal to B. But because these vectors are parallel, already we have K's 3 over 4. So 2 into 3 over 4. We want to get A. So I'll have 6 minus A is equal to 2 times 3 over 4. That is like 6 over 4. So I'll have negative A is equal to 6 over 4 minus 6. If this 6 crosses the other side of the equal sign. So 6 over 4, somebody, minus 6. So I'll have negative A is equal to negative 9 over 2. Negative can go with the negative. So I'll have A is equal to 9 over 2. 9 over 2 is the same as 4.5, which is 4.5. So this is 4.5. What does the question need? Determine the value of A. Determine the value of A. So finally, that is the value of A. 4.5, 4.5, 9 over 2. But just use a mixed fraction. So please remember to subscribe, remember to share, and leave a comment, please. Thank you so much.